Hello everyone, welcome to my channel C.S.E-Pathshala. In this tutorial of Introduction to Deep Learning, we'll study about convolutional neural networks. So CNN or convolution neural networks are very important deep learning neural network and basically they are used in most of the problem statements. And if you talk about image processing, image analysis, or image classification, object detection, image segmentation, whatever the things which are related to the images, CNN plays a major or important role. However, CNN can also be used in recommendation systems, in natural language processing, brain computer interfaces, financial time series also. Okay, so the use of CNN is having a wide scope. However, the major role of CNN, that is convolution neural network, is in using for the image processing. Okay, so to date, if you talk about the various architectures or various technologies which are based upon CNN are LeNet, AlexNet, GoogleNet, that is now also called as Inception, and we are having various versions of Inception algorithms also. That is Inception V3, Inception V2, V1, and so on. VGG, that is Visual Geometry Group. We are also having various versions of VGG also. VGG 16, VGG 19. Then ResNet, DenseNet, MobileNet, EfficientNet, YOLO, you only look once, and so on. Okay, so these all are the algorithms or the techniques, and various versions of these algorithm or techniques has been released, and most of them work upon the image processing, that may be like image classification or object detection or segmentation, whatever. Okay, so if we talk about the architecture of convolution neural network, so basically here the architecture keeps importance. How the layers has been organized, what the layers are doing the work. This is much more important to learn and understand. Okay, so CNN comprises of an input layer. So just a general concept of our neural network, that it comprises of input layer, it comprises of an output layer, and intermediate there are various dense layers or the hidden layers. Okay, so this architecture is also followed by CNN. Okay, so let's study what exactly is there inside it. So it contains an input layer. Okay, then convolutional layers. Okay, pooling layers, which are also performing the task of subsampling or the downsampling. It comprises of activation layers, fully connected layers, and output layer. Okay, so in between input layer and output layer, we are having these layers: convolutional, pooling layers, and activation layer. So what are these layers work, or what they perform? We will check ahead in our this segment. And first, let us look at the architecture. So here is the architecture. And let's get started with the first layer, that is our input layer. So in the input layer, this is our first layer. And obviously, the input means we need to give our data. Okay, so as already told, that CNN works with the images. So for example, this is an image, okay, which we will be giving here as an input to the input layer. Okay, so you can see here as an image. Okay, so this input layer, it takes image as an input. Okay, it typically has a size of 32 cross 32 cross 1, which means that width, height, and one is a color. Okay, one is a color, and that is a grayscale color, and its alternative size for the color images would be 224, 224, and 3. So again, 224 is the width, this 224 is the height, and 3 is the color, and 3 basically means RGB. That's why it has been written 3 here. So we are having a 3 color combination. So we'll multiply this width and the height of an image with the 3. So this will make a color image. So either we can give an grayscale image as an input, or either we can give a colored image as an input, whatsoever. Okay. Now the next layer is our convolutional layer. Okay, very important. So here in this layer, basically from your image as an input, I need to extract the features. Okay. for which I need to train my model. Okay, so what are the features present in your image? We are going to perform the convolution for that. Okay, so it uses filters for that. Okay, and these filters are called as the kernels. Okay, so extracting feature information from the images with the help of a kernel has been performed on convolution layer. Some of the commonly used image filters or image kernels can perform the task such as what kind of task which we can done with the help of the kernels. That is, we can sharp the image, we can blur the image, we can perform the edge detection of the input image. Okay, so this is the process which has been happened on the convolution layer. Okay, and if we talk about mathematically, so mathematical operation which has been performed on the convolution is we need to multiply the image matrix with the kernel values. Okay, so kernel is again a matrix. So the thing is, we will convert your image into a matrix format, and then we need to have a multiplication of that matrix, of that image matrix, with a kernel matrix. Okay, we'll see ahead what could be the kernel matrices, so that you can get an output like sharp edges or sharpening in the picture or blurring of the picture and whatsoever. This has been happen at the convolution layer. The next layer is your pooling layer. Okay, so again, it's as saying, for example, if just say convolution layer is a core of CNN, so pooling layer is also a core of a CNN. So this layer has been used for downsampling. Okay, I need to collect the samples. Okay, I need to collect the features basically. Okay, and max pooling. There are different kinds of pooling available in CNN. That could be min pooling, that could be max pooling, that could be an average pooling also. Okay, so max pooling, for example, if I do collect maximum features from the image, so that will be called as a max pooling. Okay, so as shown in the figure, we have been performed a max pooling, which divide the image into series of non-overlapping rectangles, and output will be the maximum of each sub-regions. So what exactly I did is, you can see in this feature maps. Okay, so ultimately I perform the convolution. Okay, and then I perform the sampling over it. Okay, and whatever the samples, whatever the features which I have been collected, this has been done according to the pooling layer. Okay, so you can see that these are certainly the features. For example, if I just check out this image, okay, this is certainly a frame. Okay, and you can see this rectangle out here. Okay, so this is one of the feature which has been extracted from here in a in your F maps. Okay, these are the feature maps basically. So what happens in a pooling is, as told, that we divide our input image into series of non-overlapping rectangles. Okay, so just collect the features from the main. Okay, this feature has been collected, this feature has been collected, this feature has been collected, and so on. And just it's a series of feature collections over it. So in this example, for example, it has been mentioned 4 cross 48 cross 8 image has been mapped into 2 cross 2 window. Okay, with the help of a compression technique. Okay, so it compress your image. Okay, and just collect the feature window or the feature matrix from your image or your frame, or whatever you say is an input value. Okay, so after that, what we need to do, we collected all your features from it by help of a max pooling. Ultimately, in case of pooling, that is also called as dimensionality reduction. Okay, in another way, that is called also called as dimensionality reduction. That means we reduce the dimension. Okay, if your image has been in this particular matrix form, so I have just collected one of the features from that particular matrix, which is shorter matrix from that. Okay, so this is how we collect the series of different frames or the features from your original image. Okay, that means we have reduced the dimension. Okay, now the next thing is activation layer. So in case of activation layer, we do perform the activation function. Okay, so here the activation function of a node defines the output of the node. That is a function of an input or the set of input. So as we know that what happens in a neural network is ANN, or we just consider the case of the deep learning. that most of the computation has been performed on your dense layers. Okay, and here the weight has been multiplied. Okay, you give a value x and w. Okay, so there is a multiplication of w and x. Okay, and we can add a bias to it. Okay, and then whatever the result is we are getting, we supply it to the activation function, and then activation supply it to the next layer. Okay, so here the activation function could be of any type. That could be a rectified linear unit, that could be a ReLU function, that could be a sigmoid function. Okay, that could be a hyperbolic tangent function, depend upon what kind of task we need to perform over the layer. So they are also having a significance. All these activation function has also been having a significance. Okay, so when you apply your weight multiply by your x, okay, as an input. Okay, what could be the input you have given? So weight multiply by this input plus we have some bias to it. Whatever the result which we are getting, we apply it over the activation function. Okay, then activation function, after applying it to the activation function, it gives the result to the output. Okay, so there could be various activation functions. Okay, so now as we were talking about the kernel matrices that we have seen in case of the convolution layer. Okay, so there could be various kernel matrices. For example, identity matrix can be used that will be result a image like this. Okay, for example, if we need to perform the edge detection, so we can use these matrices to perform the edge detection. That means we will convert our image into matrix format, and then will multiply our image matrix with this matrix, and we can detect the images. Next, if we need to sharpen the image, so we can use certainly this kind of a matrix, and we can multiply this with your image matrix. And if you need to blur your image, so we can use this matrix and multiply it with your image matrix. Okay, now the next layer comes to be as a connected layer, fully connected layer, that is it's a dense layer. Okay, so in between, as we know that the basic architecture of deep learning neural networks, it says that there is a input layer, there is an output layer, and there are various intermediate hidden layers. So these are actually the hidden layers. Fully connected layers are the hidden layers. Okay, so after several convolution layers and max pooling layers and high level reasoning in the neural network has been done with the help of a fully connected layers. Okay, so here all neurons are fully connected. It means every one neuron or other neuron is connected to every other neuron. Okay, so all are fully connected with each other to all the activation functions of the previous layers. So whatever the computation or calculation has been done, okay, and all there's been computation has been performed on the densely connected layers or the fully connected layers. Okay, and then we supply the result or output to the activation function. So this is what happens at your fully connected layers. Okay, the next one is a dropout layer. For example, in case it happens that while training of your model, the accuracy is going to be increased further. Okay, so I need to drop some of the nodes if it has not been required to consider all of the nodes, because in considering those nodes, your accuracy is going to be getting higher, which will result into overfitting of the model. So in that case, I need to drop some of the nodes or neurons, whatever you can say. Okay, so we are not going to consider them, and for that purpose, we are using a dropout layer. So there will be a dropout function basically at a particular value. Okay, there will be drop in your training. So again, it will come back to its initial state, and then again the training will be done. So I'm not going to consider those. It doesn't matter that I'm going to eliminate those neurons from the layer. No, it's not like that. They will be present in the layer, but ultimately I'm not considering it for the training purposes. Because if I do consider them, your accuracy is going to be getting higher, and it will be result into overfitting of your model. So in order to avoid the overfitting of the model, I am going to use the dropout layer. Your the next or the last layer is your output layer. Okay, so we achieve the final output of the CNN at the output layer, whether it can be a classification problem or whether it can be a regression problem. Okay, if it is a classification problem, so at the output layer, we will get the number of classes, how many classes where we are going to find out. For example, if we are going to perform a classification related to the dog and the cat, so it's a, two classes are there, either it's a dog or a cat. This will be result over the output layer. Or if we can have a multi-class classification also, no issue with that. Okay, so this will be the result can be available on a classification on the output layer. Or if you are working with the regression, okay, so the output will be only one, and that could be a floating point number. Okay, a number with a decimal point. Okay, so if you are going to perform some predictions using CNN, so there will be some certainly number which has been expected according to the training of the model, according to the prediction, or according to the regression analysis. Okay, so the result we will achieve on the output layer. Okay, so here is the diagram which has been showing that this could be a kernel. Okay, kernel for the convolution. So, for example, this is your image, and your image has been having a certain numerical values. That means I have made my image to be represented in a matrix format. Okay, matrix format have, because an image is ultimately a representation of your bits, zeros and ones, all, because it's a pixel, it's a collection of pixels. Okay, so if it has been having an colored image, or if it has been a grayscale image whatsoever, so there will be an array, there will be a completely an array like structure will be available. Okay, it will be like this only. So we can consider all those things. Okay, all these values, and if we apply that image features, okay, basically we can say that this is an image, and apply this with the kernel. Kernel, as I already told here also, that yeah, these matrices are called as a kernels. So if I apply this over the image, okay, we can have a multiplication of this kernel with the image, so I can get certainly some values. So this will be certainly a convolved features. This is what the features which I was expecting from the images, and accordingly my model will get trained. So here in both of the diagram, it has been shown that once you are working with this particular set of metrics, okay, with this the kernel, and this is the result you have got. Okay, then if you are working with this set of your metrics, okay, and then applied, and this is the result you have got. So this is how I can collect various features. Okay, so there could be multiple convolution layer, okay, where this operation has been performed for training of my model. Okay, and then there could be your multiple layers related to the pooling also. There could be multiple layers for the dense, okay, because they are a fully connected layer, and obviously there are various dense layers. Okay, and dropout layers also. So there could be a proper arrangement of all those layers. So here in this tutorial, we have discussed what could be an architecture of CNN, where the CNN has been used, and what does every layer in a CNN means. Okay, so in next tutorial, we will study ahead more on deep learning. Thanks for watching.